Good evening, everyone. I will call this session of the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District Board of Trustees meeting of June 11th, 2020 back to order after we've just returned from closed session. We'll carry on. I will read the district civility statement. When conducting district business, we will communicate clearly and concisely with respect for the time of others, listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others, understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors, understand and respect district policies and procedures, and maintain a respect for the rich history of the district and the efforts of others who have served in the past. All right, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, board members. I'm blessed to work with you. Tim, I want to thank you for your comments and thank you for your decades-long dedication to the students and the athletes of this district. And along those lines, towards the end of my comments here, I'm going to ask for your support in a more focused way going into the future. Caesar, thank you for being here to run all of this and make sure that this happens and we can still make sure that the public can participate in these meetings. I very much appreciate your dedication of being here and the fine job you do to make sure that the agenda comes up and everything. But my comments tonight are going to focus on the survey. I'm going to kind of go through and say some things that only I would say that the district can't say, and I hope that sheds some light on some things because I have had some comments and questions about this. Some of them there's some misunderstandings and some people just flat out don't like the way it's working. So I'm going to try to explain that, and then I'm going to suggest that a sports liaison be sent out from the board, and I'll get to that in a minute. I think there's some Captain Obvious stuff going on here with this survey. I think everyone knows that the district is a seat-based program, and that people who are dropping their kids off every day or putting them on the bus before this COVID thing, that was an indicator that that's what they wanted. So I don't think that's a surprise. I think if people wanted an online or distance learning, there were opportunities for that. So I think the groups have already been formed already before this COVID thing, but you know, it's pretty clear that when the COVID thing happened, the district, along with other districts, countywide, statewide, and nationally, were thrown into suddenly we have to do something different. But again, we operate in a very strict environment that's everything is law, everything is code, and you have county offices of education. So I want to frame my discussion about this way. Public agencies give a high degree of attention and become most conservative when there's a risk of exposure, especially legal exposures that lead to fiscal penalties that stand to debilitate a budget that is meant to educate kids. So do you hear people talking about this much? No. So let me give you an example in my world. We have this thing called a ficus tree. It's a wonderful tree. It gets very large, but when you put it in an area of sidewalks, they bust the sidewalks up. There's trip hazards. And then after a while, you have to fix the sidewalks, so you cut the roots off. So ultimately what happens is the trees, because they weren't planted in the right place, end up creating a hazard and a liability for the city. Now, the city does not run out and say, hey, anybody that wants to trip and fall, go over here on this street. On the same level, we have to prioritize things, and we have to balance the way people appreciate trees, and sometimes that is not good because emotions come to debate with common sense, and in the public sector that's not usually a win-win for anybody. But I remind people that the civility statement suggests that if you're going to become active on an issue, that you kind of understand what the district's policies and procedures are and some of the constraints we have. So here's what the survey really tries to do. It provides a means to react to any mandate that is going to come the district's way in lieu of opening the door and going back to the way we normally did it, meaning I don't think that somebody's going to say tomorrow morning, oh, everything's open, go back to exactly what you were doing. And I think that's pretty much common sense. But working for a public agency myself, my mornings start with an hour-long meeting that updates what's happening, what the county health officer is saying, what the numbers look like, the fatalities, the new cases, and then what it means operationally to the city on a number of things. Facilities, I work for a public works department, so there's a ton of things going on. And the information that's coming down from the oversight agencies, it's volatile, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but people are reacting to things, and sometimes they're not the most informed people. So you have a doctor looking at one way or another. So these consensus happen, and things happen every day, and it changes so much that it becomes virtually impossible for someone like a school superintendent to inform the public in a predictable way that the public is going to say 3 days from now, oh, I understand what is happening here, and that's difficult. So when it comes to the survey, when I opened it up and went over it at home with everyone, it asked the first question, do you prefer seat-based? Do you prefer a blend between seat-based and distance learning, or distance learning? Now, it's asking for you to fill that information out about a student. Anyone that knows special education knows that plans are developed for students, or individual education plans. They're meant not to be constraining or anything like that. There are also mandates about what kids are taught by and what grade and the curriculum and whatever. But that said, the survey looks to take the individual student and consider what they might need. Now, in my home, I have one kid that would prefer probably to spend a couple hours in the classroom and the rest over here, while the other one would prefer maybe to be in the classroom the whole time. I don't want to group those together as a family and say, oh, or one box checks all. But if they fit that criteria in your family, you'll notice that when you check the box that you prefer seat-based, the questions become very short and they end very quickly. Now, there's an algorithm going on in the background that, based on your last choice, it's not meant to lead you, but it's certainly a data analysis where the district at the end of the survey can pull up what they call frequency distributions and says, okay, this number of people and this number of people. So to the flexibility Larry was speaking to. But now let's say I fill out the survey and then something changes drastically in 2 days and my employer is calling me back to work, or something changes. I go back in, I sign back in, and I make a different answer. The algorithm changes, so it leads you down a different path based on your answers. So the idea that if someone calls up and complains, the entire algorithm changes, no. But we certainly understand that it's not a one-size-fits-all, and you may have things that work for a family, one kid in the family and something else. But if you go back in and update your answers, expect that the algorithm and the questions might change. No one is changing this. I'm very, in my world, I study things, and changing the data structure in the middle of something creates these false results. And when you're dealing with people that have different circumstances, that's a whole new game. So again, the algorithm is not going to change, but why would their numbers change? Well, something happens. I have people, if you work for a progressive agency, someone might say, look, you've been telecommuting from home, we're going to bring you back in, but the county is only going to let us operate at, say, 25%. You're seeing those numbers thrown around. So relating to our district, we have 1,000 kids. If they say 25% of historic, we've got 1,000 kids. That would mean only 250 of them could come on the site for X amount of time and all these social. I know what re-entry protocols look like. I mean, I have one here from the city. When you onboard a person that has been commuting and working from home, there's a myriad of things. I walk in every morning, there's a temperature gun put on my head, this, that. If I don't want to do those things, I can burn my time up if I don't feel safe there. I've got sick leave and all that, but when the day comes when I'm out of that stuff, well, I've made some choices, but to participate, the agency I work for is focused on the protection of the public, and that starts with compliance with the people who work there. But anyway, groups are broken up, numbers are met, and after a while, maybe those will get relaxed and stuff. And I've also heard some noise that, well, the Office of Education, the county office, is giving you recommendations and not mandates. So let me make this really easy. Let's say we just fling the doors open and we go against what the Department of Education recommendation is, but the county mandate for protection of public facilities and reentry. Let's just say we ignore that, we throw it in, and somebody gets sick, real or perceived. And then you're going to see this, I guarantee you'll see this. There'll be some late night commercials. Was your child become ill after re-entry to a COVID? Call this number, 1-800. I hope that's not us, but all I have to do, if I'm the attorney representing the person who is the plaintiff, I'm going to say, I'm going to subpoena the superintendent and say, did you follow the county recommendation? No, I didn't. Why? Oh, because there was political pressure from these people. Okay, so then no more questions. And I asked the county superintendent, I subpoena that person, put him up there and say, do you support the recommendation you gave? And they say, no, but it's just a recommendation. And you hear some mumbling about local control or something like that. But then the county superintendent rolls on you that you made a bad choice. And I'll tell you what happens right then. You have just put the district budget meant to educate children out there to be looted for whatever by anybody who's perceived that they were damaged, real again or not, and a precedent has been set, and I don't want that to happen here. So, again, this survey allows people, whatever's going on at their home, maybe they're working 2 days a week from home, maybe they have to go in. There's some transition going on here, and it's not just all about education. So what the district is trying to do is take an unknown set of circumstances at a great deal of volatility and look at it and say, how do we best service our market and customers, which is our students? So please fill that form out. And remember, what works for you for work and for the other aspects of your life, take that into consideration, as well as whether the solutions fit one child or all. And when I got a feeling that, I'm not psychic, but I think the majority of people are going to say that they wanted a seat-based. I don't think that's a surprise. And when that happens, that allows our superintendent and loud board members to advocate and go to the county and say, hey, look, these things that you are putting on us go far and wide against what our customers expect. And we understand the health mandates and the like, but we really need you to understand that this means loss of ADA for us, and we were already precarious there. So it gives us the ability to focus on advocating for the things that are running our district. And I expect our superintendent to focus on the top end issues of this organization, and that's definitely one of them. So I want to thank you for your patience, and I want to thank you for your response to the survey. If you filled it out already, you get to thinking maybe I triggered something here or something happens at work tomorrow, just going to get back on there and fill it out and just give us what you think is going to work for you. So thank you for bearing with me on that long comment, but I have one more. And it relates to district sports and the sports program. This is not an action item. We have different people doing different things that represent people like the AV School Boards Association and some things like that. I'm sure there are other examples. But I'm asking for the support of my fellow board members in the assignment of Coach Jorgensen to act in the capacity of a board liaison to participate in monthly meetings with the Director of Athletics and the Superintendent to focus on continuity in the maintenance of the district sports fields, the scheduling of the district sports events, the budgetary needs and priorities of the sports program district-wide, the staffing and support of events, the support of budding programs and the maintenance of established programs, and finally, the effective communication of challenges being related by the public in a way that provides focus and prioritization on correction and customer service and progress in lieu of promotion of tribalism and selective advocacy. And that's about the best way I can say that. I think the model for this monthly meeting is similar to that of what we see in the site parent group monthly meetings with the superintendent, in that the meeting is agendized, it is focused, and it is memorialized. I have spoken with Coach Jorgensen. He has agreed to support the board. If we have consensus, I look forward to Coach Jorgensen's first district sports liaison report to the board at the first available opportunity. I want to remind everyone that the district's athletes have been idle. I don't know what they're doing to keep their skill set up, but I'm a believer that actually participating competitively is the best way to do that. I guarantee you the programs will return. It's not if, but it's when, and I don't want to sit back idle. I think we need to be focused and ready, and in my mind, there is not a better person who represents the board's focus on district athletics than Coach Jorgensen. And despite anybody screaming and kicking right now on the board, I'm going to ask the superintendent to reach out to Coach Jorgensen as quickly as possible.